Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than Cozy Snap. Cozy, we've made it to 101 episodes of the Snapchat. I'm still thinking back to our time on episode 99, sharing spicy apple juice. We did the celebrations for episode 100, and I'm looking forward to our 2-year mark coming in a couple weeks as well. Dude, I'm just happy to be here with you.
Oh man, 101 and 101 more, and today, I don't even know what to say. I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped to do another episode with you. It just never gets old. I don't think I ever. I mean, there are times where we're pretty tired, pretty dead, and had a crazy week and this, that, the other. But it's never just a drag to get to film this with you, man.
I know it really is the thing that we look forward to the most in the week, and that's why we've been doing it every single week. And we're one of the few podcasts I think actually hits it every single week because it is a priority for us, just like it's a priority for us to talk about Agent Venom and Scream, both of which have come out here. And listen, it was a busy week. We had to experiment with Scream. We had to build with Agent Venom. Both of them required very different builds and very different ideas around deck building itself. Now let's start with the season pass card, Agent Venom. Now Agent Venom came to, I think, a very strong point in the meta. I think this card is really showcasing what it's capable of and perhaps overperforming original expectations. Cozy, what has your first week with Agent Venom been like?
Yeah, we both gave it a 4-star, right? Somewhere
yes,
in there.
Sir.
Yeah. Man, I like it. I think that it has a good balance of like creative deck building, but then it also just really helps some obvious archetypes. Now, again, what I want to see is this going to be a card that stands the test of time as far as will people be playing Agent Venom design decks down the line? I mean, probably, more cards that come out, the shorter the list gets, the cards that make it. But certainly, I mean, the reason we both gave it such a good rating last week is it was obvious. Cards that multiply so quickly and can do crazy things like Silver Sable and even like Rocket. Like, it just loves this card as a whole. And I think people, it kind of underestimated how good he would be with certain matchups.
Yeah, no, I think Agent Venom has been remarkable in terms of his statistics in post-Infinite Marvel Snap. We have a 31% meta penetration, which is very high. That people are playing Agent Venom, that's for sure. We have a positive win rate at approximately 52% and a positive cube rate as well. The card is performing well. It's doing well. And we're also seeing it in a number of different shells, right? We're seeing it in like Beast Bounce, right? We're seeing Hitmonkey. We're seeing Mysterio, who's an absolutely massive winner. And what's interesting is we're even seeing these decks that have like both Mysterio, Bast, and Agent Venom. So if you're holding Mysterio and you draw Bast, you turn it into the 3s with the Bast. If you are, if it's in the deck and you hit it with the Agent Venom, it turns into 4s, which is absolutely insane. It's honestly been such a great card alongside Agent Venom, and Agent Venom itself has been great. You're also seeing it being played in like Athena-based packages because you run things like Silver Sable, you run things like Kitty Pryde, Athena, they all benefit from that additional power. And honestly, like, it's just been way more versatile than expected. Like, originally people were like, oh, it's a C4 card. It is way more than that, Cozy.
Yeah, man. I mean, it brought back me playing a lot of Patriot. Like, I had a blast playing that Bass Patriot builds of the day, Iron Man in there. I mean, it just works out great, and it just felt like it worked really well. And Bishop, man, Bishop's a good card in certain archetypes, but being able to play him now and then have that Mysterio follow up, the guy can get just crazy power potential. Yet again, Shadow King is the answer, but people just don't play it.
No, I know, and it's just very interesting to think that like Agent Venom, I think is at its early stages of deck building. This is going to be a card that really is going to take advantage of kind of like deliberate deck building over time. Any card that comes out with a very high impactful skill but low power is going to benefit from Agent Venom, right? Like we talk about it, like there's a reason why Mystique is a 3-0 and why Mystique at 3-4 is crazy. There's a reason why Iron Man is a 5-0 and a 5-4 Iron Man is completely broken. It's because that the power offset is to offset the actual ability strength. And when you have Agent Venom, you basically take advantage, you have your cake and you eat it too with some of these cards. And that's why it's not surprising that Agent Venom makes a lot of these decks. It's interesting to think that Patriot itself did actually improve. And you called Patriot in your original discussion on the Snapchat. That deck's running almost a 55% win rate and an extremely positive cube rate. So like we're talking about decks that are performing very, very well. And can I be honest with you? I called something out on the Snapchat last week. Thanos. Thanos, baby. And you know what? I gave it a shot. I legit gave it a shot. I built a Thanos deck, and there were moments where when I played Agent Venom on 2, and I had that Mind Stone, and then I drew into multiple 1/4 stones that then drew a card, I felt like there was nothing that could stop me. But I wasn't getting Agent Venom on 2 very often because naturally you clog your deck with the stones themselves. And so it wasn't as effective as a deck. I was hovering into like the low to mid 50 percentile range, which isn't all that exciting to write home about, but it actually worked. And I think that there could be some more deck building ideas there that could potentially push it to that next level. And if you consider the fact that Thanos starts in hand, it's never negatively impacted by the Agent Venom effect. If it was in the deck, then you cut your 10 Thanos to a 4, and that kind of feels bad. So what I'm trying to say here is that I think we're only on the onset of the deck building with Agent Venom, and that we have to really keep an eye out for cards that come out in the future. We say it all the time, but this is one of those cards that just might age like fine wine.
I mean, cards with, low power and high ability ceilings is going to come out. Like, we already know those are going to come out. That's how they do a lot of balancing in Marvel Snap. And so, because of that, Agent Venom is now always going to be a factor involved, and that is exciting for sure. The biggest thing that kept me from playing Agent Venom was Scream. And that's because Scream is just, my gosh, I'm excited to talk about her. Anything else on Agent Venom outside of, yeah, I think you hit it. Gosh, are we going to say age like fine wine and that hit the nail? Can we not? You did well. People are going to continue to build around this card. And as we exit what is this hella chaos with the clog and whatnot, we're bound to see even more experimentation down the line.
Yeah, my time with Scream, honestly, was super positive. I think this card had a much more straightforward deck build design as opposed to something like an Agent Venom. Agent Venom, I think, had needed like a lot more consideration as to how you build a deck, whereas the Scream deck, I think, started to build itself, if you know what I mean, right? Like, you knew the cards you were going to play. You're going to play Polaris, you're going to play the Spider-Man, you wanted to play the Kingpin, and my experience with Scream was super. I actually think this card is awesome. Awesome. I think Scream itself is an incredibly powerful card. Every time a card moves, it's like it's affecting the board in 4 power. 2 for itself, -2 on the other side. What more could you possibly ask for? The problem with Scream is everyone else. It's everyone else, because if you don't draw Scream, your deck's like, hey, I move your guy from here to there, and I move him from there to here, and like nothing's happening, I guess. You know what I mean? And oh, wait, my deck kind of actually sucks. So I'd be interested in hearing how your Scream experience was.
Oh my gosh, Scream, just like, this is all I was playing, man. I mean, A, obviously get to play hero, gonna do that as much as humanly possible, but B, it's like, again, I think we highlighted this last week. It's you're able to play cards that are doing something that you are affecting on your opponent, right? You're moving where they can't go. You're changing up their plan. You're moving a Deadpool when they were going to destroy it with Carnage. Like, there's so many things you can do with it. They're all high-value static cards as well, and more than not, most of them now have targeted things, right? Like Stegron moving to the right. Kingpin and her kind of match made in heaven worked very well. It does feel like we're missing like 1 or so cards that can kind of bring this whole thing together a bit more. But this deck, if you're into it, plays very well. And there's enough flexibility to keep it consistent to keep people on their toes. There's like 2 slots in the deck that you can change out for just about anything. You can go Shang-Chi, you can go Goliath, you can go with like White Widow and put stuff on their side to make it even hard. Like, there's so many different ways to go around it, which I love. You don't want the exact same deck build across the board. It, kind of creates that uniqueness and or just the deck stability because people don't know what to go up against. Man, just a good card. Very strong. And I think we kind of nailed it, man. We said Agent Venom and Scream are our favorite of the season. I have a hard time thinking they're not going to kind of hold the throne for the season.
Yeah, no, I actually thoroughly enjoyed playing Scream. I think that, like, and the statistics show this, by the way, it's running a 51% win rate as of recording, a 15% meta popularity, which is strong, but it is running a negative cube rate, just slightly negative, a 0.03 negative cube rate. But it's going to happen, right? And I think that that's indicative of the fact that Scream itself is, I think, a 4-star card. I think this card is good.
For sure, yeah.
It's just like, you got to run Polaris, and you got to run Spider-Man, and you're running these, like, these cards that just, they don't do the thing that they need to do if Scream's not on the board. And if you don't have Scream and you don't have Kingpin, then like, oh, you're playing a 4/7 Stegron and you move something right? Like, cool, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I think the supporting cast needs some help. Scream does not need to get buffed. It's everything else around it that needs to get buffed.
Yeah, and if they, man, I don't know. I'm kind of afraid she's going to get nerfed too eventually, just because this is like this is the cards they just target, the ones that like have a bad effect on your opponent, but she's so limited in deck design that makes me think maybe she won't be. Second Dinner has a track record, so I'm hoping they don't keep doing, that said record on 2 costs that are a little too crazy. They dial them back. But I also think there's a card coming out like Frigga. Like, what I try to make work with her, I don't know if you ever got a Bar Sinister game with Scream, but she becomes legit an instant snap game win. Like, she just wins the game. It's ridiculous what she could do. I mean, you put like -8s on their side. I started to run Red Guardian with her because you would see Luke Cage would just get rid of that, especially in Hella. You're seeing that all over. But Scream, if you can multiply her. So I tried Moon Girl, obviously Cope, didn't work. I think there's a card called Frigga that's coming out that copies the next card that you play or something like that, or the previous card, something like that. That could be interesting. If you could find a way to get 2 on the board, Nico, which I tried that, kind of, a bit random. But Scream has a huge effect that can really multiply quickly.
Yeah, and again, it's that 4. It's a complete 4 power play, 2 on your side, -2 on their side. It in and of itself is an incredible card. And so, like, I'm really interested to see what this archetype looks like in the future, because the archetype needs support. But I'm glad that they're at least giving us a tool. Like, this feels like what a Nihilus was. When they're like, hey, we're giving you a Nihilus, right? It's an archetype builder. And then, like, then we buffed Sentry. A Nihilus was good, but it wasn't until Sentry was a 10 with the -10 void that it started to really do work. And then they nerfed that. A Nihilus started to die, and they're like, okay, we need to give something. Okay, Viper gets changed. Okay, and then all of a sudden, you have an archetype that's fully flowing again. Not necessarily with a Nihilus, but you have Junk being one of the most predominant plays in the game right now. So I do think this Scream might see a very similar arc.
Did Magneto make all your lists?
He did, but I didn't like him. I just wasn't sure how to replace him. I think Alioth was almost always better, but Magneto was serviceable.
Alioth, or just having like Arrow and or Cannonball as your highest cost, and then just filling in with like a tech card, Shang-Chi, Red Guardian. That felt a bit more consistent. Like, Magneto, just with the play lines you were doing, yes, like there are some combos like Venom, whatever, that you're just easily going to kill. But overall, it just hurt. It almost felt like you didn't do enough with that cost. And I found myself doing like, Juggernaut and Polaris or whatever, rather than just playing him, because I'm trying to get multiple things going. So overall, you could play him. Definitely does work, but he did feel sometimes not always the optimal play.
Yeah, he was fine, but he didn't feel as good as I expected. I found it fascinating that the highest win rate versions of Scream did include Cannonball, because generally speaking, you're not clogging. So you're not getting that destroy effect on Cannonball. You are getting the displacement, which is nice. So you are going to basically reproc the Scream. And the way I saw it was, okay, Cannonball gives you the opportunity to displace something that exists. Arrow gives you the opportunity to displace something that was played. So, like, they're different versions of the same thing, but in traditional Clog, you were getting more out of the actual Cannonball itself. And one thing that did surprise me, though, is I did feel like Morales, because Morales has been buffed. As a 1/6, it felt like a pretty strong play. I felt like I was very naturally able to play that down in this particular deck, because even if at turn 6, I'm not playing Magneto, I'm playing Cannonball or Morales, and I'm playing Arrow and Morales, I felt like it actually fit into this deck particularly well. I think it stood out. And I do think that Stegron could get a buff. If you move Stegron to a 4/8, probably, it's a starting point for giving this deck a little more power.
That, or like it moves the highest power card. Like it has a bit even more definition. Oftentimes I found that being the thing. You know what I mean? Like the 4/7 was fine, but then I was like, damn, I wish this wasn't a 50-50 grab right now of what I was going to do. But yeah, I agree. I think overall, there will be more decks that we can come up with, but it's like the answer, if you should get her at this point, it's like, if you enjoy that deck, get her. You'll love it. Played a lot. I did. If you don't, skip her.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is, though, is like if you don't have Scream and they buff Stegron and this deck becomes relevant, without Scream, there is no replacement. You'll never be able to say, hey, guys, I see your Polaris and Spider-Man deck. I don't have Scream. Can I put Lizard in there? You know what I mean? It's right. No, you can't put Jeff in there. You can't put anything else in there. White Widow's probably already in there. And so it's like, you can't play that no more because the deck just does not function. It's like, it really is the key linchpin card of that particular archetype. And that's going to take us to our next point of conversation, which is these cards suck. There have been cards in Marvel Snap that have sucked for so long, Cozy. It's actually mind-boggling. And I have stats here of some of the ugliest stats. Dude, I'm looking at a card with negative 0.63 cubes. You basically donate almost more than half a cube every time you play this card. Are you kidding me? There are cards in Snap that are so bad, so completely trash, that it still boggles my mind that they exist.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Warlock's the mascot of the Major League team, too. I think, like, he represents it. It's like, you know, with, like, Arrow, when she was being underplayed, at least, like, you're like, there's a world, you know, and Scream was that answer. Like, there's just nothing. This is just, like, what are we waiting for with Adam Warlock? I think the statues of testing has passed on the card. I think we are not cooking anymore. He's just bad. He's just a bad card. And I think this is the one that comes to mind very quickly for me of one that's just like, what are we doing?
His original stat line would have been a great Agent Venom card, by the way. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's true.
As a 5/5, he sucks so bad. And there was a point in time for like a couple OTAs and a couple patches, Glenn was like, we're going to give him a shot. We're going to see what we can do here. We're going to make him this. We'll make him that. We don't want him to be OP and all this stuff. And then it's like, now they're like, okay, we're done with him. He's crap. Let's just hope no one really remembers he exists. And you know what? It's unfortunate because like, he was so poorly represented in the MCU. I still can't get over it how bad Adam Warlock was in the MCU. So it makes sense that the card sucks too. But that being said, like, he is an iconic comic book character here with honestly some of the best variants in the game too, right? And he's unplayable. He's literally garbage, and he always has been, always will be, unless they make a drastic change.
Bro, screw the MCU. He's super iconic. It's crazy how bad he is in this game. Like, I think if someone was a major comic book fan and they came in here and they're like, man, let's see how Adam does in the game, it's just like a gross misrepresented. I can't even talk right now. It's too late. But yes, Adam Warlock, not great, not a good card. How do you top it? Who's next?
It's a 34% win rate card with a cube rate of 0.63. Almost seeing no play at all. It's Mantis. Mantis, the Guardian of the Galaxy, who is guarding nobody. Not even guarding your cubes. It's just giving them away at this point. This card is so unbelievably bad. It's just like, it's pathetic. And they even changed the card with more complicated text that somehow made it even feel worse. Like I don't understand. This card sucks so bad, dude. I can't believe it.
Yeah, when I was thinking about the cards that should get activated, I was like, man, maybe the Guardians. And then I'm like, no, like, what are you gonna do there? Again, this is one of those like, what I think they've tried to, bro. This card's got like 5 adjustments, and like the fact that it was a 2/3 for a while was kind of hilarious. I don't know, man. This card, it's just never going to make. It's never gonna make a 12 card deck. It just never will. Every now and then there's an airship game or something, I guess, where you're like, well, I'll try it out. But dude, it's still bad. It's just it's an awful card, and I'm definitely not surprised this was the one on the list that's so low.
Yeah, and honestly, like, there's other cards that are just bad. This one had to get like called out as being absolute major filth. But like, okay, let's just do a little bit of hoping here. There's one that I think is a very easy fix, and we've brought it up before. Mr. Fantastic is a 3/2. Is this not the easiest? Just buff him to 3/3 and like, what's the worst that can happen play? Like, I don't understand why Mr. Fantastic is sat as a 3/2 for literally since launch. This card is the one, first of all, not seeing play, negative cubes, 41% win rate when played. Even new players don't want to play it. This to me seems like you just OTA this and see what happens. I don't understand why this card's been like literally forgotten about by second dinner.
And respectfully, the new player experience thing, I've kind of moved on, Pat. If you were not doing like new player packs and stuff that to catch them up, at this point you're so far behind that it's like, I don't think they're gonna. If you make Mr. Fantastic a 3/3, I don't think someone's gonna be like, you know what? I don't know about the new player experience anymore. Might not be the same. I just don't. And honestly, this card would never make like an Agent Venom deck at a 3/4 even. So I don't know. I don't think it's a great card. It's the same with other starter cards, and I was thinking like Namor. Who's playing this?
Nobody, man. 0.1% play rate at a 42% win rate, negative 0.5 cubes. Half a cube gone every time you put this clown in your deck.
It's like Scar is a thing, and this still would never see a Scar deck.
Imagine being the guy to have spent all your money on a variant.
That's me.
I know it's you. Look at this variant. It's beautiful. But like, why? Why did you do this?
Copium. I thought, you know what? We're only a year in. Namor sucks. They'll change him. They're going to change him and what's that other guy? Warpath in the same Is Warpath up next? He's got to be.
Dude, Warpath, they have nearly identical stats. 43% win rate. Warpath a little better on the cube side, 0.32. Classic bot deck gameplay though. Like I love when they play Warpath and then immediately ruin the effect after. That's great. I love seeing that.
If they do that Selene activate change, I'd actually play. I would play Warpath. I would, because I think he does work in a Goblin's deck. But other than that, dude, yeah, not a good card.
Yeah, and what about Shocker, okay? So you're seeing like High Evo kind of make a bit of a comeback here and there. And then like Shocker doesn't make Patriot decks. Shocker doesn't make the Evo decks anymore, right? And so like he's running a 46% win rate, almost no non-existent play rate at all. And of course, negative cubes. What do you do to Shocker, right? Like, do you make it so that like you target the card that he discounts? Do you give him, is he 2/4? Like, do you give him premium stats? Like, it just makes no sense. And this is another card that's basically been forgotten about. One of the best effects in the game, by the way, when you hover him.
Like all of the Patriot cards, that not the High Evo, but they're Patriot, like they're not, those all just feel off, right? At this point, like, I mean, they just like, you're not playing the thing, on a Patriot deck anymore. Like, I think the last one was like True Patriot or whatever it was called, and you kind of did that. It was like a year ago plus. Yeah, Shocker's definitely one that would be on the list. I do think it's pretty good in Evo. Like, when Evo's shining, it can do stuff. But yeah, other than that, like, you're not playing this card.
Yeah, I feel that. Now, here's another one that's worth talking about. What about Lizard? Now, I want to just bring up Lizard here. We've had so much power creep in the 2 cost. Lizard used to be the king of 2 costs, and now he's just gone. Like, you don't play him. You don't even play, like, the only time you sometimes play him is in decks with Enchantress and Sauron, but those decks are dead. When was the last time you even played Lizard?
I brought him up in the Scream video. I'm like, guys, if Scream does 1 movement, she's literally already better than Lizard at a 2/6, technically a value. Like, one move, 2/6. That says enough. I think revert him back. I think he should serve the role that he used to, kind of this like more dependable than not 2/5. I think it's fine. I don't play him. The last time I play him, or the only time I play him, is in like what I like to call the evil Spectrum decks, where you had like the Luke Cage with the Lizard and Spectrum kind of thing, and you can maybe make that work with like the Typhoid Mary. Maybe if your little activate with 0 comes to light, maybe, but yeah, just not played.
No reason to. I don't know why you would. And I still remember when they made the nerf in their patch notes that this is the weakest nerf we've ever made, and they literally just made the card completely disappear. Cozy, what do you think about Agent 13? A 42% win rate, negative cube rate of 0.36, literally non-existent play rate as well. Loki's gone. Why would you ever play Agent 13?
This is one where I'm like, I don't know. We need a card that gives you a random card. 1, 2. You're never gonna freaking play this card. You're never gonna play it. But what do you even do with this card? What do you do?
I don't know. If it's 1/3, are you playing it? No. So do you even make it a 1/3? Like, you just think like this design has to exist, so who cares if no one plays it? It just needs to exist in the game.
I think they will just keep it in the game. Yeah, because like we already have Maria Hill who does the give you a 2. So I don't know if you can target it. Right.
Maybe a draft card? Like,
copy a random card in your hand.
Okay. We're cooking now, but like it made me wonder actually. Like, I kind of poked at it here, but like when we're talking about these cards, I kind of had this thought of like, okay, we play constructed, but if we have a draft
it's
mode,
a good draft
does
card,
Agent 13 make more sense? You know what I mean?
It's a good draft card. And there's actually like a lot of these that we brought up that aren't like terrible draft cards in general. Yeah, I think she maybe that's not the best one, but if I had like her, I don't know what the 3 would be up for grabs, but I definitely don't think she's a terrible option.
That's absolutely fair. Cozy, I have another one, and we've talked about her before. I think that this was the headliner of the last discussion. White Queen. Talk about one of the most power crept cards in Marvel stat. Do you remember at launch how 4/6 was a good stat line? Do you remember feeling that like, oh, White Queen, you get a little scouting, 4/6 a pretty decent stat line? Like, what happened, man? Like, what? Talk about just power creeping way past White Queen. Emma Frost, completely useless. And I mean, we've talked about this card so many times. I feel like the last time we talked about her, she came up with some really cool ideas, and now I just can't even remember what they are. Like, we had some idea about her becoming indestructible, turning to diamond.
Yeah,
at some point. I don't know.
It's a shame. I really hope they don't like make an Emma Frost separate from her. It would just no, don't do it. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of cards you can look at and be like power crap. Okoye is one of them. White Queen's one of them. There's a couple of them out there that are just clear and obvious. And it's just like what are we doing? Let's just we get whatever. Mantis gets her 5th attempt, and White Queen has, I don't think, ever gotten a change ever.
No, not that I've ever thought. Like, I don't think she's ever been touched before.
No. Well, she's been. Never mind.
Jesus, that's taken wildly out of context. Moving on very quickly before anybody gets on top of that. Wow, that can also be taken out of context. There's a card that I think is decent. It actually is a 50% win rate, but I want to bring it up because I think it could use some love. And that's Echo. I had this thought about Echo as a 1/2, right? A very passive card. Your opponent has to play into it. Like, you know what I mean? Does Echo, would it destroy the world if Echo was a 1/3? Like, is this a card that really needs to be a 1/2 based on the fact that it's not a proactive effect, it's a defensive effect. So it's like, why is it a 1/2? You know what I mean?
I think the problem with like 1/3s is just like how they balance their 1 cost. So it's like, it kind of makes things tricky with some of the other 1/3s, I guess. And it's like, where's the drawback? But there's not one. And they kind of got rid of that. I'm like, I don't know, the 3 cost, they did that when there used to be drawbacks and there's not anymore. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of instances of this that I just wish we would try and, do. If everyone's playing Echo, revert it. But like, throw it into the next OTA. Look at these cards that are having bad play rate, not showing up in the meta whatsoever. And just see what a PowerPoint does, because sometimes 1 power can really make the difference.
No, absolutely it could. And I think that Echo is a good example of a card that's not inherently bad, but it feels bad to play because it doesn't have the trade-off. Like, you're not gaining enough from it, right? And with regards to other cards that could potentially see buffs that aren't necessarily complete garbage right now, do you think the Twitch drops are indicative of the fact that maybe Spider-Man 2099 gets some love eventually, or no?
Dude, it's almost like I think they won't now that he's a Twitch drop card. I think if we were going to see him get changed, I thought it was going to be last month. And with him not, I don't know. I don't know if we'll see it. I think if we were going to see a move, changes happen, both positively and negatively, it was going to be last month. So my hope has dwindled for Miguel.
That's fair. Let's do another couple quick fire ones before we move on to our Snapchat mailbag here. Do you think Rhino at a 45% win rate and a 0.2% play rate ever gets any love? Because don't even say C3, he's not even played there.
Why not make him a 3-5?
Why not, man? Everything else is a 3-5. Like, actually, really, everything else is a 3-5.
Make him a 3-5. I know C3 will miss it. Make him a 3-5. Let's face it, Cerebro's not even that consistent anyway. I feel like some of these cards, like, the answer's not always just like throw the stat stick. I mean, we just talked about Activate and how you can change cards that way, but some of these, it's like, dude, just give it a whirl. Give it a couple power points, and again, if it's too much, take it back. But I think there are some obvious ones where that's the answer.
I had an idea for Orca. Orca's running a 48% win rate and a 0.1% play rate. What if Orca had the same effect, except it cleared the location? So let's say you had it like Junk being such a big part of the meta, maybe reduce his stats a bit, but maybe he destroys everything like Misery would, destroy the whole location, carnage it, but because he's his own card, he gets a buff as well.
So it's funny you say that, because him and Namor, I was thinking the same thing, except I was thinking that their effect works on cards you've played. So like, if you've played a card there, right, he won't work, but if they send over a rock, it's fine. He'll ignore it. That way it's not just dead, because the reason these cards are dead is because of how prevalent something like Junk is, and that would fix both of them. In fact, Namor would be played way more if it wasn't affected all the time. And the Scream deck that just came out would counter that, right? Because you're moving a card with Polaris, they played it, but when it's just like Widow and all these other things, very easy, just one debris ruins it, this would solve it.
Yeah, and I mean, that being said, like, there was a moment where Orca was seeing play with the OG Miss Marvel, right? Because he represented like a 21 power play onto one location because he got the +5 plus the +5 from the OG Cap Marvel when you only needed one card, okay? And we would be remiss, we got to just check all the boxes on the episode here, we'd be remiss not to bring up Kang the Conqueror. We joked about him on your side. Do we even bother talking about him? Are you ready to just move on?
I want to move on.
It's not worth it.
I don't want to talk about him. He's not going to, I hate him.
You hate Kang? There's a good chance he hates you too.
Everyone hates him.
It's true. That is actually factual. As we move on to our Snapchat mailbag, Cozy, we got a few questions here from you guys. And if you'd like to leave a question for us, let us know in the comments down below. The first one comes from King Snail, and it reads, "Let's admit it, the best new card of the season was Hell Cow." And this is in reference to our conversation last week.
Truth, yes, absolutely. No question about it. Black Swan, it's funny, man. Activate doesn't work for everything, but damn did it for Hell Cow.
I know Hell Cow completely reinvigorated. I think I've used that word a lot today, actually, now that I think about it. But I think that Hell Cow and the change to activate completely made Hella like all the way back. We brought Hella all the way back from the damned location that it was in, and it was just one card, a minor change, and that was it.
Do you see yellow after you wear those for a long time?
Like, do you mean like does this like impact my actual vision?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at myself. I look weird without the glasses on now. 99% of the time, I don't wear these glasses. And it's funny because when I'm out places, people don't recognize me because I'm not wearing my glasses. They're like, I didn't recognize you because you weren't wearing your glasses.
We got that comment on the video. It's like Alex was wearing his glasses, where I was like, I don't think of that at all. Like, if you came wearing your glasses, like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Like, it would throw me off in person, I think, more than on here. I almost don't see him anymore. But no, you look great.
Oh, thank you, sir. You also look great, man. I gotta go. I gotta fly to San Diego and figure out who your barber is. Get him to touch me up a little bit.
You could have. We could have done it. Maybe we
did.
could have
done. Maybe next time. Maybe that's a future episode. Next time I'm down. next TwitchCon, come down. We get a haircut together. Film that. That's got to be great content.
LeBron James has a show, The Barbershop, or something like that. They talk about hot and steamy time. I don't know what they talk about, but we could do it.
We can do it. We can talk hot and steamy like salon talk. Like that's a podcast, Salon
like
Talk with Cozy and Alex.
White Queen variants and and Black Cat variants. Yeah.
And our next question comes in from Hellshoot, and it reads, "I do agree with Alex saying that Copycat's change made the card feel worse. It also killed the card in mill. Also, I want the old Loki playstyle back. I don't care for the numbers right now. The old playstyle was so good and unique. Now, Loki's only used to reduce Arisham's deck size."
I'm glad he agrees with you. I still like Copycat. Yeah, I mean, definitely it's different. I still think Copycat's a very good card, and it just should and could be in most decks. Yeah, I'm glad he agrees with you. So Alex like died there or something. He froze. It was so convincing by what I said. Because I said I'm glad that he liked your take on it, and you were just like. And at first I was like, is he doing a bit? And then I was like, oh, dude, this man's dead. He ain't moving.
The actual Discord completely died.
Dead. Yes. Great job, Hell Diver.
Hellshoot, yeah. Hellshoot. The key thing is, though, I do agree that Loki reducing Arisham's deck size is very unfortunate. I don't know if I like that completely. The next question comes from Hark Nerd, and it reads, "Galactus is a fun card, but I don't like how it reduces the amount of season pass experience you get. You get 10 season pass experience per location 1, and when there's only one present, it's a significant reduction long term." The reason why I'm bringing this up, Cozy, is I didn't even know this was a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing at all.
Is this actually true?
I had no idea. Like, no idea that was even a thing. I'm sorry. So the more you play, the more season pass. So like you get 30 points a game.
Yeah, so the way it works, and this has always been consistent, you get a point for your season pass for every turn that goes by.
Yes.
So you get 6 for going through 6 turns, 7 for the magic turns.
I knew that.
And you get 10 points per location you win. And so if you blow up the locations, Galactus apparently deletes it.
You know what's the worst is when someone Galactus is a that gym one, Fogwell gym, when you're supposed to get double boosters and it takes that away. That's the worst thing you could do as a Marvel Snap player. Yeah, I didn't know that, though. That's crazy. I learned that's like one of the few things I've learned new about Snap.
Yeah, when I read this comment, I was like, no way this is true. And if you guys can verify in the comments, like I did not actually test this or verify it. I just throwing it out there. So this could be absolute fake news.
Troll bait,
but
yeah.
if it's not, like it's actually pretty cool. We got 2 more. First one comes from Malcolm. Cozy and Alex say Hope Summers is being disrespected every season. Haha.
Probably. Because she is.
She is disrespected. I read this comment. I was like, bro, them's fighting words. Hope Summers is one of the best cards in Marvel Snap that gets absolutely no love. That card is so unbelievably good.
Yeah, if there's something that needs change, we're gonna keep saying it till the change happens. Alex
Yeah.
and Coccia, 2024.
That's right. That's right.
Alex
I
and
mean,
Coccia,
listen, I
Cozy.
joke and I call her. I was going to say, I don't know what you just said. Dude, it is so
Cozy,
late right now. We've
Cozy,
got to wrap this
Coccia,
up. You're not even
24.
making any sense.
I'm not.
It's so late. Your internet's dying. I'm freezing.
No, that was your
Oh, man,
internet.
It's not my internet. It was your internet that
Scoundrel.
that
Yeah,
whole
it was. It was
conversation.
definitely your internet. My internet's doing great right now. I got the Cowboys game on. It's doing wonderful.
Oh, yeah. So that's why. You're literally streaming the Cowboys game in
I'm
Netflix
not.
while watching the podcast.
I'm not. I swear. I'm not.
All right. He's recording the podcast while streaming multiple things. No wonder his internet's dying. And the last question of the day comes from Mr. Paul Revised. And it reads, my 2 biggest discoveries this year, Marvel Snap and the Snapchat podcast. Made my year, guys. Definitely.
Oh man, love to hear it. Anytime we get fan feedback like that, there's like a little fan mail thing that you guys can do on Spotify maybe or something like that. It always comes in and just so much kudos in there, and we appreciate it, man. We're just 2 tired dads that are just putting together little snap content, and sometimes we derail, but always a blast, and the fact that it brings entertainment is just a bonus.
Yeah, you know what? This is like one of those things where realistically, Cozy, you and I would have found time to talk every single week anyway. We talk almost every single day regardless. But if we were just shooting shop about Marvel Snap, we would have found a way anyway. And here we are. We just record it live and just get to do it. And you know what? These comments, it really is motivation for myself and for, I'm sure, for yourself as well. But with that being said, guys, as we go in towards our 2-year anniversary, we just passed 100 episodes. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for everything you guys do to support myself, to support Cozy, and supporting the work that we do together as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next one, happy snapping.